I wanted to make a video on my very small platform, given the recent events, just to share information on race, black history. I think it's an important topic for black people to talk about and discuss and learn about, but even more important for our white friends to understand and learn. I don't know everything, I'm not an expert. It's just information I've gathered and picked up and just share it. And hopefully it will mean other people will look into it in more detail for themselves. The first topic I want to talk about is why race matters. Not seeing colour can be unhelpful. I think it's important to highlight that race wasn't a term that was created by black people or came from black people as such. It was a term that was made by a white scientist who wanted to distribute theories and racist science on polygenism. So scientists like Samuel Morton, Voltaire, David Hume were originators of the theories, and they were really prominent in the 17 and 1800s. Samuel Morton performed tests on a number of different skulls from white backgrounds, Southern Asian, Eastern Asian, Oriental, blacks, and he performed tests by measuring the size of the skull, stuffing it with like peppers or some other mad stuff he was doing. And based off these really sort of arbitrary, archaic tests he was doing, he surmised that the white skull was proof that white people were more intelligent than every other species, and in particular black people, because black people were at the bottom of the pile when it came to intelligence. I think it was white people at the top, then it was Oriental second, Southern Asians, and so on and so on. So the theory on polygenism came before Darwin's theory of evolution and came before DNA profiling, which is what the modern term we use to look at how genes are passed on. So none of these tests that were performed then would really challenge significantly or tested for proof of their validity, and it just went on from there. The theories themselves were picked up by people that wanted to justify slavery and the perpetuation of discriminant laws against people of colour. Black people were looked at as less intelligent, were looked at as stupid and savage, and that was pushed out through the leaders of the day and the people that controlled the media of the day, which were just newspapers at the time. So they used the theory to justify the merits of slavery, as I said, and put black people at the bottom of the pile of intelligence. Millions of black people were taken from Africa and brought to the new lands of North and South America, which before were basically occupied by indigenous Indian people, but the Europeans pretty much performed a genocide on those people and wiped them out, had to replace them with new people, and they did that from Africa. So people like Christopher Columbus from Spain and other travellers and explorers, merchants from the UK, France, Belgium, Portugal, Spain, were all hired by the governments of those respective countries and were paid to go and get back riches to then sell. So polygenism was used to dehumanize black people. Race was made an important topic then because of that, and it was made. There was a clear differentiation between what being white meant and what being black meant. There was a clear difference in intelligence and the lack of feelings and emotions that black people didn't have or didn't share with white people because we were completely different, apparently. So black people were ripped away from Africa and from their families, stuffed into slave ships, travelled 2 weeks to get to, North America or the Caribbean or whatever, to work on plantations if they survived the journey. The work was backbreaking, in mad heat, and they'd often collapse and die from the work. So the men were beaten, castrated, raped, humiliated and tortured. The women were raped, savagely beaten as well. Children born into slavery were born slaves and were owned by the slave masters, which is what happened all the time. So they were also denied pay. They weren't paid at all. They had no homes. They were not allowed to be educated. They weren't allowed to read or write. They weren't even given names sometimes. They were made to feel that they were just like a table or chair that could be discarded when it was done being used. That's a clear differentiation of what race meant to these people. That went on for 400 years. So and then ended. So I personally don't feel there was any coincidence that it ended very close to the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Machines were introduced and could do things quicker, and more efficiently than humans or even slaves. So I think it's impossible for the brainwashing that went on for 400 plus years to not be passed on from generation to generation. And that's important because 400 years would mean that 5, 6, 7, or even 8 generations of people were born into slavery. That mindset is ingrained. It just becomes part of who you are, and you pass that on because that's all you know. You're not allowed access to external information. In the same way as well as white supremacy, with white people believing that they are superior to black people, that's passed on from generation to generation, and you're not seeing any other information that would tell you otherwise. And you're seeing black people that are being denied education and opportunities to educate themselves, and you see them as a self-fulfilling prophecy of being less intelligent. So the acknowledgement that we're different has been with us for half a millennium, over 500 years now. And race laws to protect people of colour have only been enacted since the 1960s in this country and in America. So there's been a clear differentiation between how we see ourselves as black people and how people that are white and not black see us. So our blackness has become our identity. It's important to us. We are different, and we are different because of how we've been made to feel about our blackness and how we've been seen and perceived by society. So understanding that you're not seeing colours, almost spitting on what we've went through for being black, our history, and everything that goes into creating our identity. Blackness must be seen as a colour because it represents so much more than that.